Hello everybody and welcome to your next Sfml tutorial. Now I said this tutorial is gonna be based on a collision, and I was making the collision tutorial, and then I ran into some problems, and I was going over and over the code, and I was like, the code should be right. I don't know why I'm getting these problems, and I started researching and stuff, and then I figured out what was wrong. And there's something about SFML shapes that I never taught you guys that is a vital thing that you should really know when using SFML shapes, because without this, when it comes to doing collision or other types of stuff in your program, you're going to be running into some real problems and you're going to get really frustrated. So let us get right into it. So Sfml has a lot of built-in functions like setting position, moving shapes, getting the position of the shapes, etc., etc. But Sfml is kind of tricky because they have a kind of local position and a global position, and it's very important to know the difference between the two. But I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna kind of give you an example of how it really works, how all of this really works in Sfml. So if when we draw a shape, say we create a shape and I call the shape player and I draw the starting position at 100, 100 by 110 and 110. So I say x1's 100, y1's 100, x2's 110, y2's 110, and the color's red, right? If I was to do player dot get position and I was to get the x and y position, if I was to display that on the console window, the position would still be at 0, 0. Now you guys might be saying, wait, why is it at 0, 0? The reason is at 0, 0 is because it's not actually getting the point position from the actual shape. You're not getting the point on the shape. You're getting the position relative to the origin position, which is always, which is 0, 0. Now, I know that kind of sounds confusing, so I'm going to be using Paint right now to actually kind of show you an example of what I'm talking about. So, let me erase this stuff right now. Let me delete this stuff. Okay, so here, let's say this is our game window right here. So this, okay, this is our game window. Okay, I'm trying to draw a filled color. Sorry. Okay, so this is our game window right there, or yeah, something like that. Okay, so if that is our game window, right? Let's pretend that we're drawing a shape, right? And every single time we draw a shape, it draws a rectangular area that's the same width and height of the screen. But yeah, it draws it to the screen, but it's transparent, okay? And within that transparent box, that's where we draw our rectangle or our play or whatever. So we have an invisible rectangular box and we draw it at the position 100, 100. So we draw a rectangle box right here. So when pretend that this invisible rectangular box is like a piece of paper. Now if you had two pieces of paper and you put one on top of the other, then the origin position would still be 0. So pretend we have two pieces of paper on top of each other. The piece of paper on the bottom is the screen, and the piece of paper that's on top of it is the piece of paper that we're going to actually draw a rectangle on. Now, if you were to take a pen and draw a rectangle on the top piece of paper at the coordinates 100 and 100, that would be fine, right? It would be relative, but the position of the paper is still at the origin 0, 0. So once we do get position, once we use the function get position for the actual shapes, we're not getting the position of the actual rectangle, we're getting the position of the whole rectangle that is covering the whole screen. So therefore the position is at 0, 0. So say we move the say we move the paper, or we say we want to move the box 5 spaces to the left. What we're basically doing is we're moving the paper 5 spaces to the right, 5 spaces to the right. So we're moving it to the right. We move it 5 spaces to the right, and therefore, since the paper moves, then obviously the box is moving along, or it looks like it's moving along the paper, moving along the screen as well. And that is how it works. So when we're doing like collision and stuff like that, when we're using like the get position and stuff like that, we're not actually getting the object's position. We're actually getting the position of the actual paper that we're drawing the rectangle on, and therefore that's how it can really get confusing when we're using collision and stuff, because when we're trying to find the coordinate of the box to see if it's collided with something else, it won't work because we haven't drawn the box starting from the origin position. So in order to get rid of these type of errors, what we need to do is that we need to actually, when we draw our shapes, we have to draw them at starting from 0 0, and the width and the height of the shape followed by the color, and so on and so forth. So if we're drawing a rectangle, we draw the origin, which is 0 0. We set the width and the height of the rectangle, and we set the color of the rectangle. Therefore, if wherever we move the paper, that is the same position as the box. So and then so if you, even if you don't want the shape to start drawing from the pixel 0 0, you could always set the origin to 0 0, and then after you reset the position, set the position to wherever you want it. Then wherever you move it now, it's the same. It's at the same position as where the paper is, and therefore it will draw it correctly, or whenever you're colliding, you will get the proper coordinates when you're using get position. Now, I believe there's also a way to change your coordinates from global to local, or from local to global, transform to global, or transform to local, or something like that. I never looked in depth into that yet, so it's up to you guys if you really want to look into that. But generally, when you're drawing shapes from now on, forget what I've taught you in the earlier tutorials. From now on, when you're drawing shapes, always start by putting 0 0, which is the origin, or whatever your origin is. If your origin is not 0 0, then start from the origin, and then draw the width and height of the shape, and then followed by the color, and then you use the set position command to actually put it in the area that you actually want to put it, and therefore you won't run into errors in your program. So that is it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and bye.